Hi, it's Robert from the Bobsphere, and today I'm doing my June wrap-up. Yes, I know there are a few days left until June's finished, but it's Saturday morning. What the heck? Okay, so June was a mixed bag. I had some okay reads, some good reads, and some fantastic reads. Let's start with the good ones first, like the kind of 3-star ones. Okay, this is Hausa Trelawny by Hannah Rothschild. Now, this is a leftover from May, and I didn't include it in my last wrap-up. So, I might as well put in this batch. Hannah Rothschild wrote a book called The Improbability of Love, which satirized... Hold on, because the cat knocked down a plant. Which satirized the art world, and this satirizes the upper-class British scene. It's okay. It's not fantastic. There are some good moments, there are some funny moments, but really, if you want a good satire about upper-class Brits, then you have to read Jonathan Coe's What a Carve-Up. Okay, now that's May out of the way. Now here comes the okay reads for June. This is part of the defunct book club, and I bought all the books, so I'm still reading them. This was, like I said, okay. It's about a female detective who just solves, crimes, but it's cozy crimes, nothing serious. It's very tame. It does talk about life in Botswana, so that's a bit interesting. But I can't say I was really impressed. Just, passed by. Something you read on a Sunday afternoon. Okay, 1,000 Ships by Natalie Haynes. This is a retelling of the Odyssey, and through the different females in the Greek mythology. So from a feminist angle, it's good, but it's been done before many times. You have Circe by Madeline Miller, and you've got The Silence of the Girls by Pat Barker. So this was nothing new to me. This was a good read, nothing fantastic. It didn't break any new ground, but the writing style is pleasant. Okay, here I think Pumpkin's going to pay a visit, as always. Yeah, there we go, the tail and the head. Yes. She's becoming a regular in the videos, isn't she? Yeah, okay. I'm going to take you off. Okay. Okay, now for this one, this is Conception, and please excuse me because I'm going to butcher the name. It's Özgur Uyanik, I think. Please correct me if I'm wrong. It's Conception. The review of this is going to appear on 1st July as a publisher thing. Still, I can include it now. If I'm not mistaken, it's out very soon. This is about an artist who's half Turkish. Not half Turkish, he is Turkish, but his parents immigrated to Britain. And he's not doing very well until he comes up with a great concept that's going to shock the art world. And then the whole book is about his preparation, him pulling off the concept, and then the after effects. Mixed reactions. There's a lot of trigger warnings in this, and there's some passages about abuse, which will make you squirm. It's very erudite, if I'm pronouncing the word correctly. I won't say it's the best thing I've read, but it's going to stay in my memory for a long time. That I will definitely guarantee. Now here's Adults by Emma Jane Unsworth. Now actually I heard a lot about her previous novel, Animals. That's really good. It's apparently a film as well. It goes under another name, I'm not sure. This is her most recent novel. I can't say I was too crazy about it, I'll be honest. It felt like an inferior version of Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine. It's about a woman who is addicted to Instagram, and it really dominates her life to a certain point that she can't maintain a relationship or have friends. But then we find that there's a deeper meaning behind her addiction, and it's to do with mental health. So I did not like it. I thought the writing style was really pedestrian. It sounds snobbish, doesn't it? I got bored in certain parts. Certain parts I liked, but it's not something I would wholly recommend. All I could say is if you've read Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine and you feel like something similar, do check adults, but there are better. And those rare instances, actually there are 2 non-fiction books in this year's pile, in this month's pile. We've got The Geek's Guide to Sigh SF Cinema by Ryan Lambie. Ryan Lambie is a contributor and he was the editor of the website Den of Geek. There's 30 films, all sci-fi classics. And, well, if you're a fan of the genre, you'll find absolutely nothing new here. The interesting thing is, through these films, he talks about the history of sci-fi cinema, and you learn about technological developments. For example, The Abyss was the first film to use Photoshop. Well, actually, Photoshop was, it was the first time someone used it. That's all. I mean, this is more a book you dip into than read as a whole. Now, let's get to the good books. There are 2. One is Iris Murdoch's Under the Net. This is her debut, back in the 50s. It's good. It's good. Iris Murdoch kind of is comfort food for me, so I know what I'm going to expect. Here's a little bit different, it's a little bit more experimental. It's about a man who is kicked out of his house, and he goes through a series of adventures all throughout London. Some bits are funny, some bits are quite serious. It's a very high-spirited novel. It's got philosophy, as always. But the interesting thing is that it's a debut from an established author, because I think she's written more than 20 books. And you sort of see the roots. She went on to do better things. A lot of her next novels are much better than this. But still, it's an interesting snapshot of a young writer trying to make it. And with the potential there. Again, this is comfort food as well. I do like Rushdie. I've only got two more novels left. Yeah, I've got Shalimar the Clown and The Enchantress of Florence. So I've actually got 2 more novels left and I've finished everything. All of his fiction, at least. So this is The Moor's Last Sigh, Salman Rushdie. And it's the book he wrote after his fatwa. So this was in the mid-90s. Now, with Rushdie, you either get something great or something awful. This is good. So it's in between. The writing is amazing, but my qualm is that it repeats the exact same plot as Midnight's Children. It's about a gifted child, and we hear about his birth and, well, kind of death, and his life, obviously. And it's entwined with the history of India. So for me, this is Midnight's Children version 2.0. If you like that, then you'll love this. If you hated Midnight's Children, you'll hate this. Don't make this your first Rushdie, though. But it is a good book. Now, on to the great ones. The other non-fiction book I read this month, this is Tracey Thorn, Bedsit Disco Queen. Now, Tracey Thorn was part of an indie pop group called the Marine Girls, who I really like, and then she was part of Everything But the Girl. And I only know about Everything But the Girl through the big hit Missing, which was on MTV all the time during the late 90s, mid to late 90s. So anyway, this is about her life, and her bands, her suburban upbringing, then about not her troubled marriage, her husband's health problems and her surviving. It's a very good tale. She's a really good writer, it flows, at some parts it's funny, and there's not that much gossiping. There's a little bit of name dropping. After all, she collaborated with Massive Attack. So she goes into that and her confusion over this type of music and how that influenced subsequent albums. You don't have to be a fan of the bands to really like this, and that's something I admire when you have a biography about an alternative musician. So anyone can read this. It's about someone's struggle and surviving. Excellent. Ottessa Moshfegh, she's one of my favorite authors. She can do no wrong in my books. No pun intended. And here, she scores again, but she does things differently. There's no gross out humor in this. No one's picking their nose, no one's burping, no one's stained. Only one little gross bit. It's more or less a mystery. It's kind of like Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead by Olga Tokarzak, if I'm pronouncing her surname correctly. It's about this old woman who discovers a mysterious note, and she tries her best to solve the crime. Obviously, that's her only clue, the note. And then it's really, though, a book about loneliness and how the psyche can play tricks on you and how unreliable memory can be. Recommended. Here's Tyll by Daniel Kehlmann. This is shortlisted for the Booker International, and I'm trying to read all the books. I've got 2 left. Yeah, I've got 2 left. This is excellent. Tyll was actually a mythological character in medieval England. He was a trickster and a jokester, and Daniel Kehlmann places him in the 1600s, and it's a very episodic book. So we get an idea of his life, but through different scenes. So, for example, we've got one where he's a boy. That's one of the longest sections. And then another one when he's traveling in the woods. Another one when he's in a court. And it's really a good portrait of medieval England and the superstitions. And a lot of problems in that time, medieval Germany, are very similar to what's happening today. So history does repeat itself. It's a very good book, very flowing. Now, the top 3. So, now we've got The Glass Hotel by Emily St. John Mandel. I really like Station 11. I could say it was my favorite book of 5 years ago. And this does not disappoint. Excellent, excellent stuff. It's about a brother and a sister, and they're connected to a financial fraud. If I said that correctly, a financial fraudster. And it's all told, obviously, in bits and pieces, like Station 11, and actually it does link up to Station 11 as well. So that means Emily St. John is creating her own world. There are some characters, and a lot of the main protagonists in the book start saying, shouldn't there be a change in the world? Imagine if there was something and the whole world would be different. Well, then you can see a few years later that plague that happened in Station 11 is there, so it's connected. It's great. It's not told in chronological order, and the characters are all amazing. There's some surprises, there's some clues. It's very cleverly written. Well done. I really enjoyed this. Highly recommended. Number 2, got Hamnet. I've already spoken about this, so I'll be quick. It's about Shakespeare's son who died. So it's about loss and how it affects people psychologically. It's a very touching book. Bring a box of tissues with you because you're going to cry when you read this. It's fantastic. And the writing, oh my goodness. There's one chapter about plagues. And that's one of the best things I have ever read. It's an amazing chapter. Maggie O'Farrell has never disappointed, but here she's firing on all cylinders. This is a masterpiece. And the book of the month is Evie Wyld's The Base Rock. Again, I spoke about this, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. Wow. And I'm going to say it again. Wow. 3 women, all connected through suffering. That's all I'm going to say. This will get you right there. This is a rough book. It just lays everything bare out and plain. And I'm still enthralled. I'm finding it difficult to actually describe it, but again, this will be a book I will never forget. I again highly recommend it. So that's all for June. I am going to tell you what I'm currently reading because I could be finishing that this weekend, as it's a rather thin book, only 200 pages. That doesn't mean it's a thin book; it's a quick read, but I'm really getting into it. And this is The Mermaid of Black Conch by Monique Roffey. And it's about, so far, a bunch of, oh darn, my bookmark fell out. It's about a person who finds a mermaid in the Caribbean. So we're getting bits and pieces of her life. And so far she's been caught. That's all I know. That's all I want to know. there'll be a review on the blog later on. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. Did you read any of those books? Are there any you want to read? Tell me, comment below, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you. See you next week.